Hi friends, I'm Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Antioch, Illinois in the U.S. Excited to be part of this month's Global SU Share Fair. Today I'm going to be using the On the Horizon bundle, which is the On the Horizon stamp set and the companion Horizon dies, as well as the stunning New Horizon 6x6 Designer Series paper. So I'm excited to share my project with you. I'm going to turn my camera around right away so that we can get started with the project. So this is the card that I made for today. I was really wanting to use not only the gorgeous paper, which does most of the work, but some of the stamps and some of the dies, and this is my envelope. Put that aside, and I'm going to put the card here so that we can get started. And I'm quickly just going to show you, here is the stamp set. Variety of different sentiments. Thinking of you, thanks for everything, relax and enjoy your day. And then some trees and birds and fun things that we can use. And these are the dies, the Horizon dies. I love the fence. That's probably my favorite part of the whole bundle. And we're going to use a few of these items as well. This die cuts out this shape, but other than that, these are just companions to the set. And then of course, last but not least, I have to show you the gorgeous papers. These are just stunning. I love them. I can't say enough about them. I'll show you maybe half or so at a time. Beautiful scenes, and then on the other side, for the most part, just colors that coordinate, but some that also can be used as scenes. So let me move those and show you the rest. Just stunning. And then the other sides. And this is actually the one we're going to use today. So it's actually the back side of another scene. So just wonderful. Love, love. I've made a bunch of cards, and I saw one in the catalog that I want a case. So I'm going to keep going with this set even after today. But we are starting with a basic white card base, A2 or A4 size. And then, like I said, this is the sheet that we're using, which is the back side of this, which I also love. I need to use that. I haven't used that one yet. So I'm going to grab my trimmer, because we're going to cut it. I'm going to turn it upside down actually and cut it at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, same size as the card front. So if you're working with an A4 card, that would be 10.5 centimeters by 14.9. And I'm doing this on camera because I will say that I used, bring back my scrap, I used this to cut out some of the dies. So I'll show you that in a minute. There are lots of, I've got lots of scraps because I've used so many cards, and I used a lot of them for this project. So I think we'll put this right on. So I'm just going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue. Ugh, it just kills me to cover up this side. Isn't that hard with two-sided Designer Series paper? When both sides are pretty, so hard to cover up another pretty side. And we're just going to line this up with the front of the card. And I think we'll start then with some stamping. So I am bringing in my garden green, because that's one of the colors in here. We've got Old Olive, we've got Garden Green, and we've got Evening Evergreen as the greens in this piece of Designer Series paper, and plus some Misty Moonlight. And I've got that tree stamp from the set. So we're going to use that a few times. We're going to use it on the card front, right about up here, and on the inside. A little sticky there. And then I'm going to bring in the envelope, because I did that on the front of the envelope as well. And for this, I'm going to bring in a scrap. There we go. Because we're going to go off the edge of the card like that. And we're actually going to use it one more time. So I'm going to leave the scrap here. I'm going to move the envelope aside for now. I did some die cutting in advance. And I will say, I hope everybody knows about our wonderful sale on the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. and a bunch of die or bundles that are on sale for 20% off. The Horizon dies work in that mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And the bundle is 10% off, but the dies still work. So I cut out the trees. This is one of the dies from the set. And so I didn't do it on this card, but I want to do it on this one. I want to give the trees more dimension. So I'm going to ink this up one more time and just stamp right over to give those trees some more dimension. So I think we are good with this one. But while I've got that garden green, we're going to do a little more stamping, because I also cut out this grass from the die set, and there is a stamp, which is this one, and they don't match up exactly. If you stamp this and you cut it out, they're not the same, but I'm still going to use this. I'm going to ink that up, and this is Old Olive. This is garden green cardstock. This one's Old Olive, but I'm still using the garden green ink, and I'm going to stamp over it like this, again, to give it some dimension. That's what I was going for, was a lot of layers and dimension for this card. So, and this I put an adhesive sheet on the back before I ran it through. So we've got those. We'll put those aside. And we've got a little more stamping. Oh, and actually one more thing on the card. Last thing with the garden green is our sentiment. I thought of doing it in a more neutral color, and then I decided I wanted to use the garden green. So that's going to go right up in the corner. And I believe our garden green stamping is done. Move that aside. And next we're going to take soft suede and those wonderful fences. I'm going to give these some dimension too, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that to make them look more like wood grain by using this wonderful stamp that comes in the set that is looks like a pile of wood. So I'm going to ink that up, and my thought was to go with the grain to be on the up and down pickets. So let's see how we can do this way. And then, whoops, stick it to my finger. Ink it up again and do the other section. It's hard to do this on camera because I need my head over it, but good, that's pretty good. And then ink it up one more time to do this one. So put a little more ink. And so now our fence posts have some dimension too. And then before we take it away, well, I'm going to show you what I did because I did it already. I cut out a section of the houses also with, this is soft suede if I didn't say that before, cut out the houses and stamp them again with the same stamp. Like I said, going for lots of dimension. And so those are all good. I think we are done with our soft suede. We'll put that away. And then I think the only other thing, yes, that I die cut was the houses again. And this is the only one I have left. So I'm just going to show you that. I've been making all sorts of cards to try to get to my final product with this one. But I cut out a set of 3, and this came from a scrap of the Designer Series paper this time. So I just used, you can see these are all very well used. I used a scrap on this side of the Misty Moonlight and cut out the 3, and that's, one of them is here and one of them is on another card. So those are now the components, and we're just going to put everything together. So I'm starting with the fences, and again I have an adhesive sheet on the back just to make it a little bit easier. Oh, that's right, and I have one more. This also comes from the Designer Series paper, the set of trees that I cut. Again, just using a scrap from one of the other papers that has that similar garden green. So now we're going to start. Let's see if we can peel these off. And I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to get the insides out of there. And to help peel off the backing if need be. Love this little tool. Comes in handy for so much. And then, yeah, both of these, oh, this one has a place to start because there was overlap from the adhesive sheet, but this one does not. So I'm just going to use my take your pick tool and poke a little hole, pull that off. And then we're going to position that right to the edge of the card and leaving a little bit of room at the bottom because we're going to put the grass in front of it. And then we'll put this one on the other side. And then we're going to lay this one up on the other side right across from it. And you do want to burnish a little bit with your fingers, help that adhesive to stick to the designer series paper underneath. And then the same thing with the grass. All right, and this one I was using an end, so I don't have adhesive on the entire back, so I may put a little bit of glue on the end with no adhesive. And so I'm going to just add a little bit of glue on this end. I like that there's no adhesive sheet on the top because I think not having that adhered directly to the card gives that a little more dimension to it, makes it look a little more 3D. We'll burnish on this end and press that glue in. And then next, I started off with just one row of cards, and by a happy accident, I had started off using the cardstock, wasn't happy, decided to use the paper, and when I picked them up like this, I thought, well, that looks kind of good, so let's use that. So again, bringing in my multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm just putting it on about where I think it's going to overlap with that cardstock piece. And just kind of offsetting them a little bit. So it just makes the forest look a little denser, a little bigger. And then taking that again, the glue, and putting it all along the back. You could also use adhesive sheets for this, which I was thinking of doing and then ended up not. I don't know why. Probably just forgot. That glue off of there. And we're going to put this, I'd say about here is good, because I wanted room. You know, I got the idea to cut the houses apart because when I put them, when you just lay them out, I don't know, it just didn't look right to me. So I thought, all right, let's cut them apart and see how that works. And I liked it a lot better because then it looks more like a little neighborhood, I guess. So all I did was just trim them all down like this. And the same thing with these. Get all my little bits out of the way. These I just put on with glue dots. But again, you could run them through with an adhesive sheet. Run them through the Stampin' Mini Cut and Emboss machine with an adhesive sheet and then just peel them off just like we did with the rest. Whichever is easier for you. Actually, this one needs to be cut down just a little more. And so then I just kind of scattered them a little bit across the front. And I will say too, the reason I put the wood grain stamp on this is I was going for the feel of a log cabin. That was my thinking in using that color and that stamp for that house, for these houses. And we'll put this one up here by the trees. And then we have just one more little bit of stamping, which is our birds in the sky. So for that, I'm using basic gray. You could also use Memento Black, but my Memento Black needs a little re-inking, so I decided to use gray today. And then last but not least, some embellishments. Or almost last, because I do have another idea. And before I put the embellishments on, I'm going to show you my other idea so that you can chime in and let me know what you think. There is a die in the set that to me looks like a little pond. And so I also debated adding a little pond to the card. So let me know in the comments what you think. We could do it this way or this way. It doesn't really matter. But add it or leave it plain like the first one. So I'm going to leave that up to you. And my Pebbles enamel shapes, which, oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun with. I was having trouble taking them off with my Take Your Pick tool last night, so I decided I could just use my fingers, and that's what I did. So I just took ones that were different sizes. There are 3 different sizes, and scattered them around by the fences. Just to add that little bit of shine to the card. All right, most people, it looks like, are saying no pond. But that is another idea if you do like it, to add just that little bit more to the scene. But majority rules, we're going to leave it off of this one. But that's it. That is my card. And the other thing I did for the envelope, let me bring that back, was to use a scrap of the same paper, because I was making other cards. So this obviously I couldn't use for the card front, but I'm going to use it for the envelope. So I love designer series paper on the flap. That's my favorite way to decorate the envelope. So I'm just going to, again, lay some multi-purpose liquid glue along the edges. And lay the designer series paper right up to the edge on the top and on the right hand side. Help the glue catch a little bit. And then we just trim around the edge. All right, and there you have it. Card with a matching envelope. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, take advantage of that wonderful 20% off special on the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss and a bunch of bundles. All right, thanks for joining me, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.